Browns could trade Kenny Pickett to take advantage of his market value. According to one analyst, Kenny Pickett's time in Cleveland may not be as secure as some fans think. After a whirlwind start to his NFL career in Pittsburgh and a surprising trade to the Browns earlier this offseason, the 2022 first-round pick is now the subject of trade speculation once again. According to one analyst, the Browns could consider dealing Pickett to capitalize on his current market value. The suggestion comes amid reports that Pickett is slotted as the likely backup behind veteran Joe Flacco or rookie Shedeur Sanders, depending on how things unfold in training camp. With the Browns' quarterback room suddenly crowded and Pickett's rookie contract still attractive to teams in need, analysts have begun floating potential trade scenarios, including one linking him to the NFC South's Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta recently made a massive $180 million, 0 cents investment in veteran QB Kirk Cousins, but has no proven long-term option behind him. Pickett, who is still young and has starting experience, could serve as a developmental insurance policy or potential successor should Cousins not live up to expectations. Cleveland's quarterback room has quietly become one of the more intriguing in the NFL. Joe Flacco, last year's late-season savior, brings veteran leadership and stability. Rookie Shedeur Sanders, who arrived with considerable hype, is expected to push hard for a starting role. That leaves Pickett in a precarious spot. Talented and relatively young, but without a clear path to significant snaps. Rather than let Pickett sit idle, Cleveland could explore trade opportunities that bring value in return, especially if another team sees him as a potential starter or high-end backup. While no move is imminent, it's clear Pickett's future remains one of the most closely watched storylines as training camp approaches. The rust-colored autumn skies over Cleveland seemed to whisper of change. As football spiraled through the chilled Ohio air, rumors swirled like fallen leaves around the Browns facility. Amidst the clatter of cleats and coaches' whistles, a peculiar idea had begun to take root, not in the war rooms of executives just yet, but in the imagination of fans and analysts alike. What if the Cleveland Browns traded for Kenny Pickett? At first glance, the notion seemed absurd. Pickett, the Pittsburgh Steelers' once fortune, was never supposed to wear orange and brown. After all, these teams had shared a storied rivalry built on generations of animosity and bruising AFC North battles. But football is less romantic and more pragmatic in the modern era. One analyst, with a gleam of innovation in his voice on a popular podcast, suggested what few dared to dream: the Browns could actually trade Kenny Pickett, not just to get him, but to flip him. With Deshaun Watson entrenched as their quarterback and Dorian Thompson-Robinson developing behind him, Pickett wouldn't be their long-term solution. But his market value? That's the real asset. It was, to say the least, an idea rooted in strategic creativity. The chessboard, not the checkers game. Let's entertain the fantasy. Suppose the Browns acquire Pickett in Montana, not as a quarterback of the future, but as a valuable coin in the NFL's ongoing trade economy. His value, though dented in Pittsburgh by injuries and inconsistency, remained alive. He had youth, starting experience, and a college resume that included a Heisman finalist nod, and perhaps most importantly, he had hope. In the NFL, hope is currency. Andrew Berry, the Browns' cerebral GM, would not be acquiring a quarterback. He'd be acquiring a commodity. Pickett's rookie contract still had 2 years left, and teams like the Raiders, Falcons, or Seahawks might be willing to pay a second-rounder or a high third for a starting caliber passer with a chip on his shoulder. So the Browns make a move. They send a conditional fourth to Pittsburgh, a deal laced with irony and just enough mystery to be plausible. Pickett walks into Cleveland with a backpack full of doubters and little expectation of starting. The press erupts, fans split, memes flow freely on social media. The smokescreen of intent Cleveland's front office issues a vague press release about building quarterback depth and creating internal competition. They cite injuries, development, and the unique structure of our quarterback room. But the analysts aren't fooled. This is a flipping play, and it's genius. As training camp rolls on, reports emerge. Pickett looks sharp in reps, focused and fiery. He speaks little but practices hard. Preseason games arrive, and he gets reps with the second unit. A 12-play, 92-yard touchdown drive against Detroit raises eyebrows across the league. To each their own. At the end of the day, the scores are stack hope. And just like that, the phone lines start buzzing. A midseason injury in Tampa Bay, a quarterback controversy in Minnesota, a rookie flop in Denver. Teams in trouble start calling. Barry Fields, the office quietly, knowing the market is heating up. The great NFL pawn shop, this is the NFL's underworld. The one where players are moved not as answers, but as pieces. Here, leverage is everything, and perception is the lever. Pickett is no longer the struggling second-year Steeler. He's a rehab talent with upside. He's a change of scenery success story waiting to happen. Barry knows this. So do half a dozen GMs, trying to keep their seasons alive. The trade deadline looms. A bidding war simmers. Seattle offers a third and a sixth. Atlanta dangles a 2025 second. Tampa goes all in with a 2024 third and a conditional fifth. Barry waits, breathes, and pulls the trigger. The Browns trade Kenny Pickett to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a 2024 third-round pick and a 2025 conditional fifth. He never starts a regular season game for Cleveland, never takes a snap that counts. But his acquisition, brief as it was, flips a conditional fourth into a near-guaranteed third. That's a win on the margins, a strategy only the truly inventive front offices pursue. More importantly, it signals that Cleveland is no longer reactive but opportunistic. The Browns, long the laughingstock of NFL decisions, just played the system like Wall Street brokers moving distressed assets. The fallout in the future Kenny Pickett thrives in Tampa, starting 6 games and showing poise. His stock rises. Pittsburgh regrets the move, albeit silently. Cleveland smiles. Analysts revisit the trade months later and crown it one of the savviest low-risk, high-reward moves of the year. Pickett becomes a symbol not of failure, but of flexibility. In a league obsessed with quarterback saviors, the Browns use one as a stock option. The AFC North watches with raised eyebrows. Cleveland's rivals realize something they hadn't considered before. The Browns aren't just collecting players, they're collecting possibilities. And in the NFL, possibilities might be the most powerful asset of all.